Trojan family, what's up, man? USCJ here. It's the top of the morning. Listen, I hope everybody is getting ready to get up, get out, and make some things happen this morning. Listen, we got a couple things on the table that we want to talk about, and you guys know we've been dealing with NIL the past couple of days. Listen, there is another way that possibly can take place that can happen as it relates to, I guess, NIL, but it's, well, generating money. Let's say it like that for the athletes. And it's revenue sharing. And I saw this article coming from a guy by the name of Ross Dillinger. He puts out a lot of information. And apparently there are some, I guess, leaders from different schools maybe looking at possible revenue sharing. I want to know what you guys think about that. This is another way, a stream of income to get these young athletes. We'll talk about that because I think that, to me, this will be, from a business aspect, when you talk about all the money that these universities make on these athletes, these guys get out there, they put the sweat and blood, and, the bowl games, all these different things, they generate so much money and so much revenue. Why not give it back to the young athletes? We'll take a look at that real quick. And I got a couple other things that we want to talk about as well. That is the top receiving units in the country. They are absolutely lost in the sauce when it comes to this list that came out. And then we'll talk about briefly the top 30 coaches. And then Boise State coach did something that could possibly just have him completely lost in the sauce. I wouldn't be surprised if they move on him, just given the fact that what he said, man. So let's take a look at some of this information real quick and talk about this real quick. But let's look at this revenue sharing, man. This revenue sharing apparently is something that's being brought up. This is a article by Ross Dillinger. And he says, how much do college athletes deserve in new world of revenue sharing? And I want to know you guys can give me feedbacks in the comment section. Let me know, what are your thoughts on this revenue sharing aspect, breaking down the numbers in a different equation. Now, I'm not going to get into all this article. I just really want to bring the topic up because we've been dealing with NIL. We know that USC is only a couple of schools that's going to give out those huge bags and really essentially overpay for some of these athletes. USC is not one of them. And I just heard something the other day, yesterday from another podcast. There's several schools that are really, they're not going to tap into that like that. But Ross Dillinger brought this up, and here is the director of National College Players Association has an idea to figure in mind for what college athletes deserve from their school in any revenue sharing concept. 50%, he said. Look at pro models. He said players get about 50% of anything. Then what's fair will continue to be problematic. The numbers matter. So, I mean, what are you guys' thoughts as far as revenue sharing goes? 50% of whatever they make. Let's just face it. When you're talking about USC athletics, USC athletics is really any research school. USC, Ohio State, these guys make so much money. Well, these institutions rather make so much money off of the research aspect of the university. I don't think it'd be that much of a hit when you're talking about the athletic aspect. I don't think people realize how much research. I mean, you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars that are poured into these universities just on behalf of the research department. So you're talking about revenue sharing. These guys go all over, blood, sweat, and tears. You're talking about 50%. I don't see nothing wrong with that. I think that will kind of alleviate a better, to me, it's a better business model as far as getting these guys being able to get paid. Will you still have the NIL concept involved with that? Absolutely. Because at the end of the day, it still is name, image, and likeness. Revenue sharing, you can see more people getting paid across the board, and it's kind of spread out evenly. But these athletes should get what they deserve, I believe. And it's another way. As college executives continue the negotiations to settle the latest antitrust cases and implement a new athletic compensation model, those inside and outside the college sports industry are left with a bevy of unanswered questions, most notably about money. Under the agreement, will universities share enough with their most valuable athletes, and will they negotiate directly with them in the future? So that's one aspect, man. You guys can drop those comments. I'm not going to get into all that article, but I do think that revenue sharing can possibly be a great way to get some of these athletes paid, because let's face it, everybody, when you're talking about name, image, and likeness, everybody doesn't have that big name like a Caleb Williams that's going to generate that type of money. But when you're dealing with the revenue sharing aspect, you can have everybody, and you can still get your outside deals, the marketing deals for whatever, water companies, shoe companies, whatever, still get those marketing deals. But I think this is a great way for athletes, especially USC athletes, to get paid. Being that they are a research school, I don't think the university would take that much of a hit. And it's not a employee type deal, but it's just revenue sharing. So look, you guys can hit me on that. Let me know what you guys think about that. That is a nice little article I saw, and it looks like they may be trying to, I don't know, take it to Congress and maybe try to get that looked at to have something like that possibly in play. So hit me on that. Let me know what you guys think. But I want to look at this. This is one of the most lost in the sauce things that I think I've ever seen. This is the top. Excuse me. This is the top. No, this is not the one. Well, I'll get into this one real quick because I did want to talk about this. This is the top quarterback rankings of the Big Ten. And you see what it is here. You guys can tell me if you agree with it. I'm not going to argue with it. But, they have Dylan Gable, number one, coming into, he came from Oklahoma last year. Then they have Drew Allure. I don't know what the fascination is with Drew Allure. I wasn't all that impressed. But then they have Will Howard, number three. I guess that's okay. I'm not even sure. I was watching Julian Sayin in the spring game, just watching him in practice. He looks phenomenal. I mean, is Will Howard going to actually win that job? I know they brought him over, and I know that's part of the NIL thing. When you bring a guy over, like they brought both of those guys over, actually. Julian Sayin came from Alabama, so I kind of wonder what that situation is going to look like. But Miller Moss, number four. I'm good with that. I mean, they got him rated that. I'm real good with that. I think Miller Moss is going to be a great quarterback, although I do think he's going to battle it out with Jaden Mayava. But I do think Miller Moss is that good of a quarterback to have him ranked. And then they have Will Rogers, from Mississippi State. He's at Washington now. They have him at number 5. Dylan Raiola, surprise, surprise, he's at number 6. Let me say this. I watched Dylan Raiola in the spring game, and I'm going to tell you right now, Dylan Raiola looked legit. I can't even front. Dylan Raiola looked like the real deal quarterback. So much props to him. They got him coming in at number 7. Then Tyler Van Dyke. Tyler Van Dyke actually came from Miami, transferred to Wisconsin. They got him ranked number 7. And then the Michigan quarterback, I'm not even familiar with him, Alex Orji. I guess that's his name. Forgive me if I said that wrong. But, yeah, and then Aiden Childs. You know what? Aiden Childs, he came from Oregon State, and he's at Michigan State now. I would definitely put him up ahead of a lot of these guys. Even Dylan Raiola. I mean, just the experience. That dude is legit, man. That dude has some wheels. I'm putting Aiden Childs. I'll put him at right after Miller Moss. Actually, I mean, he really is that good. That's the only one issue that I have with those. But that is the quarterback ratings. Drop those comments. You guys can let me know. Do you guys agree with those quarterback ratings coming into next season? Now, I want to touch on something else that I saw as it relates to some of these things. The top 30 coaches in college football. This is according to Brandon Marcellos. He's from 24/7 Sports. We'll take a look at that real quick. You see it here, but you see Georgia. They got, of course, Georgia coach number 1, Ryan Day. Now, here's what I want to say. Much props to Ryan Day. Much props. And I'm about to look at this number 3, and it's about to drive me crazy. But let me deal with Ryan Day first. To me, and people could say whatever they want to say. They got Ryan Day at number 2. But here's what my thought. Ryan Day is no different to me than Lincoln Riley. And here's my argument with that. I'm talking about from the aspect of he's been to the playoffs. He's had his opportunity, but he's had several key losses throughout the year, but they really kind of keep him as one of the upper echelon coaches. And to me, I don't see the separation as far as Ryan Day as a football head coach. He's a good coach, but to me, him and Lincoln Riley, let's just keep it real. As far as NIL aspect of it, he's had the edge because his university, and he said it. He said, I need $13 million to keep my class together, to keep my current roster together, plus the guys that are coming in. So I think it's like $20 million. You look at what they did this year. They bringing in Julian Sand. They bringing in the Alabama safety, big time guy. They brought in a guy that came from Ole Miss, Jenkins, Trayshawn Jenkins. They bringing all these guys in. They spending the big money, and so I will say that's an advantage. Now, if you want to, are you trying to base these coaches off of and you calling this recruiting? Because this is not recruiting when you're getting athletes, and that's why I have a problem with the number 3 guy. The number 3 guy is Dan Lennon. How in the world? Look, Lincoln Riley has been to the playoffs. How are you basing these coaches? And you can't base it off of real recruiting. It's not recruiting when you just buy the players. So to have Dan Lennon above even Dabo Swinney that's sitting at number 4, are you serious? And then he's ahead of Mike Narvera. Come on, man. Dan Lennon didn't even win the Pac-12. You know, I mean, so but you look where they have Kalen DeBoer. It's really kind of a travesty, this coaching the way this is. So they got Dabo Swinney number 4, Mike Norvell number 5. They got Utah coach Kyle Willingham number 6, LSU coach Brian Kelly number 7, and then you're gonna see there Lincoln Riley sitting there at number 8, which is whatever, man. Kalen DeBoer number 9. So you're just gonna have Dan Lennon all the way above a guy like you talking. This is the top 30 coaches. Look at what this list says. You're saying these are the best coaches. Dan Lennon did not win head-to-head matchup with Kalen DeBoer. How is he a better coach? You know, I mean, this is the type of stuff. And then Mike Gundy, he's sitting up there at number 10. Number 11 is going to be Chris Kleiman for Kansas State. 12 is going to be Steve Sarkisian. And then, of course, you got James Franklin, number 13, Ole Miss Lane Kiffin, and then Kansas State, Lance Lupo. So those are the coaches, man. I'm not even going to get into the whole list, but I think that is somewhat of a lost in the sauce list. And who knows, man? I don't even know what to say about that. You guys can drop those comments. You guys can tell me what you think about that. I got one more thing for you, and I want to take a look at that before I get out of here. And that is this. Did this Boise State coach just ruin his career by making this comment yesterday? I don't know. This is one of the most craziest things for him to say that. You know, I talked about LSU's coach, some of the things that he had to say as it relates to Brian Kelly, as it relates to NIL. They're not going to buy players. He said, we do have NIL. We will, participate in the NIL, but we won't buy players. But he comes out the next day and he makes this crazy comment, which I think is kind of crazy because I think that could kill a program, but that could kill your momentum as it relates to recruiting. He says this, Boise State coach Spencer Danielson announced incoming freshmen are banned from taking NIL money their first season. What? I mean, if you're looking for the easy way out, I don't know if Brian Kelly really kind of helped him or gave him the courage to say this, but he says if you're looking for the easy way and you're looking for a handout, don't come to Boise State. First of all, you're not up there yet as a program to really just ban anybody from taking NIL, and really that's a program killer right there. I don't even know what he was thinking, man. You guys can drop those comments. This is something that came out on 3 yesterday, and I saw that. I said, let's talk about this as well. This is some of the most lost in the sauce stuff. I mean, this NIL, transfer portal, all this stuff is really creating a whole nother conversations, man, that just ongoing, and it seems to be unfolding by the day. But, hey, it is what it is, man. But, look, I'm out of here, man. Listen, you guys already know. That's all I got for you today. But don't forget, man, you guys know, don't forget to use Bucked Up. Use promo code USCJ32. You will get a discount. I use these shots. I use a couple of other things. And but use that promo code. You will get a discount for any supplements that you wish to use on buckedup.com. Look, I'm out of here. You guys know where you can find me. It's USCJ32 on Instagram. It's USCJ32 on Twitter. Listen, don't forget, make sure you get up, get out. It makes some things happen. Until later on, fight on, fight on, fight on.